Hey gang, Robert Linkle here with Training the Older Adult. I am currently mentoring and working with another trainer who is working on improving her hip stability. Has a little weakness and a noticeable stability issue on one hip. So something we're trying to implement with her hinging patterns are some overloads, some anti-rotation components, and some higher recruitment and kind of additional pressured actions to help improve this. So I want to show you a couple of the ones that we're doing. Real basic setups for some of these to start off. Our first one is just an overload RDL. We're going to take our band, we double it, make a nice good tension band. We double this so we have a greater tension at the bottom, and we can square this up, okay, get into our good contact, a nice hinge and return. That's simple. To do the overload, we're going to adjust to just one hand here. There's a small anti-rotation component to this, very, very small, not a whole lot of recruitment. Hit one side, and then we can switch over to the other, okay? So a little overload, a little extra recruitment, that one side to try to address. Additional pressure on the same action, and pretty much with all these, adding on a band. But the higher the band, you'd want to do this with a very high tensioned mini band, like a blue or a green, or excuse me, a blue or a black. Normally we would put the band like so, right, top of the knees. So I'm going to move way up here, just, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches below my ASIS. And it's going to give me some additional pressure, something to basically like recognize. I can feel that tension there while I'm going to work through these additional hinges, okay? So some pressure, some additional abduction component to attach. Same doubled over, single leg, single arm tension, anti-rotation hinge here. So this is a really good one at the top. I'm getting this action of wanting to be twisted, wanting to turn away. I'm resisting that as I come up, hit one side, then I go to the other. Another hinge that we have before we're ready to do a traditional single leg RDL is called a center stance RDL. So I put my toe up in the back, center foot left. I'm going to hinge over, really high hamstring stretch on my left leg, my stabilizing leg, and I have my cross section or anti-rotation tension of the band, plus my band high up on the hips to activate my abductors. So I'm progressing through from bilateral with an overload. Then I'm going to go to some additional tensions high, anti-rotations, and then we're going to start working into some staggers, just a slight stagger or to a full center stance in that RDL. Beyond that, same setup, same bands and such, I could go into a full single leg RDL. Having this guy on at the same time, it probably is going to roll on you, so you probably want to take that off, but we could work up into that single. All right, some of the other ones that I like to introduce here. Well, anytime we do a bilateral RDL or a rack pull, I like to do a snatch grip, and 2 reasons for that. Number one, the wider the hand grip, you can actually work a deeper range of motion because it moves the bar up, so a bar path is going to be greater. The second is it's going to give you this wider stance, is going to give you a wider grip, is going to give you a greater opportunity to open at the shoulder, so you're working away from any shoulder impingement issues coming up, okay? So snatch grip, get into my position, I'll bring my bar up, step back, I'm going to set my shoulders to neutral, go into my hinge. For me, I know it's just at the top of the knee is where I'm comfortable. I still have my mini band on, so I'm applying some pressure right at the top of the hip there, working on my additional abduction activation, pressurizing here, just trying to get more recruitment while I do my snatch grip RDL, or kind of a simulated rack pull is what we call it, okay? Next one, taking our little mini, or our long band again, and I'm just going to drape it right over the top and make my 2 loops there, and I'm going to add my progression to that. So I'll hook my foot in, drape it over, give myself some slack so I can get my foot into this guy. Make sure it's deep in the arch of your foot. You don't want it to pop off. And then you want to kind of center it up. Make sure not only are you in the center of the bar, but you have equal tension with the band on each side. Find my snatch grip, bring my bar out. Now I'll face you guys here a little bit so you can see. As I do my hinge, it gets less tension, greater into my recruit, up into my shrug as I hit my little retraction shrug at the top. Okay, now I can also work to a stagger. 3-4 inches of stagger is going to give me a little bit more left, my front leg hamstring, right glute. I'm increasing that high hinge angle, or I can go all the way to my center stance, high hamstring, left leg, my stabilizing leg, a little bit high right glute, but I'm up on my toe, so I'm slacked there a little bit, but it gives me a good progression that I can work through with those. All 3 lifts gradually getting just a tiny bit harder with each action because of this guy attached, okay? Now my last one is just gonna add a more full body posterior chain, specifically attachment and activation. I'm gonna take orange bands doubled over. You can make, use the mini rogue loops. I'll show you those in just a second. You can use those. You can anchor these however you choose. But the purpose of this, I'll grab one of these guys real quick for you. The purpose of this is to recruit the upper, hard for me to talk and do anything else at the same time. I can't multitask. These are those little rogue loops I was telling you about. So basically it's the same material as the big bands, the 30, 39 or 42 inchers, but they're really small and they're made just for this kind of action. So I loop that onto here and then hook it through my peg, and instantly I have tension, okay? Now the reason I'm not using it right now is because I want a little bit more slack so I can get away from the rack to do this action. As I go into my hinge, the bar, even with the second band on that I just showed you, everything is vertical as far as pressures go. So everything's pulling me down or compacting me down, which is fine, great activation and great recruitment, all that works well. But how can I get more recruitment out of the posterior chain and my upper body retractability, if that's a word, my ability to maintain that constant activation? I'm gonna put the bands out in front. Still same thing, snatch grip. I still have my little band around my abductors. Bring my bar up, and now as I come back, watch what happens if I relax. The bar drifts, right? So I'm in a constant retraction. My lats, long head of the tricep, rhomboid, serratus, all this on while I do my hinge, retract at the top. Hinge, retract at the top. Just that little simulated shrug from the rack pull or snatch pulls, clean pull, whatever grip you're gonna use as you come here. But there's a constant action where I'm resisting this forward pull and bobbing, and I'm constantly pulling back. Very difficult. Obviously, the more band or the higher band that you use, or the further you move back, you're gonna get more pull. Now, this also teaches you, the reason I like it down and in front as opposed to level or straight down, is you're teaching a counterpoint from the anchor, from where it's at. So if I have it down at like 45 degrees, as I go into my hinge and I'm pushing my butt out and up, I'm countering that angle, right? Trying to find that high, like ischial peak up, which is gonna give me that big eccentric stretch and give me a really good catapult setup to fire up into my high hinge and really kind of maximize the high hamstring, even a little bit of adductor activation as I come through those. So alignment is key on all these. Foot alignment, everything as straight as you can, pending that we're working with healthy, good hips. You have to make some adjustments based on the comfort, that's fine, but understand the more you adjust through here, the less equal you're gonna be pulling on your hamstrings. Ideally, you're gonna hit all 3 pretty equal with your toes straight ahead. And then think about your knee placement upon hinge and action and more load. Are these guys shifting around? Are they collapsing? Try to keep good alignment through everything. This extra guy, just constant, even just kind of standing here talking with you, I just feel constant action not to let this band win. I'm always kind of resisting it. This is gonna give you that extra little bit to help you break up over some of these humps. So, good progressions you can work your way through. I love the anti-rotation stuff because I think it gives you a very good recruitment that is going to apply to activations that we do throughout our day, all of our regular movements, from carrying and transferring, moving about. We're constantly trying to get twisted or torqued in the wrong positions, and that a lot of time is where our asymmetries come from. So training to work on those movement patterns helps prevent injuries if you are placed in those situations, and keeps you strong in a preventative format that helps you survive it if you do have to act upon it. One of my favorite examples is the washing machine. You see our garage space here. We're working and doing some more improvements here to the bunker. into our shower. But one of the big issues I've experienced, or the more times I've hurt myself with my back, is doing a ipsilateral reach, from dropping something behind the washing machine or just trying to get around big apparatuses depending on what we're doing. That action is not typical. Normally, if we're going to pick something up off the ground, I'd step with my left in a contralateral pickup, and my cross-body action is very used to that. So we train that action all the time, from pull starts to single leg RDLs and everything else that we do. But how often do we do an ipsilateral single leg RDL or an ipsilateral pull start, pull down, split squat, any of those actions? When the opportunity arises, or if I'm just nonchalantly just not thinking like I got to get around this thing and grab, I've now trained and prepared for that. I go right through without even recognizing that I might have been putting myself in a vulnerable position, maybe eventually leading to an injury or torquing or tweaking my back, something like that would come about. So I hope that helps. Hope you enjoyed it. It gives you some good directions, some things that you can try, some progressions. Give them a shot. If you have questions, feel free to post them down below. I'll get back to you. Or check out trainingtheolderadult.com for more information. As always, we'd love it if you would share, like this, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little bell. Any reminders, anytime that I post something new, you'll get an alert for it right away. Thank you. trainingtheolderadult.com. See you soon. Bye.